welcome. I will go ahead and call this meeting to order and ask for approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion that we approve the agenda.
Motion from Karen.
Second.
Second from Bill. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Just one quick announcement. I did receive a resignation letter from Annie Jacobson. She is moving out of the area, so if you see her, thank her for her time on the board. And that has also been submitted to the office.
Okay.
Yep. Public comment, please.
So I know the streetscape is going to be a discussion item today, so I had some questions or points of consideration that individuals have reached out after the newspaper article. Not a positive, not a negative, just something to consider for the conversation. I guess my concern and other people's concern is the maintenance if we add more green space downtown. Is that something that we might consider privatizing that green space versus having the DPW do it just because of limited resources and making sure that things get done in a timely manner? It might be worth looking at just privatizing that area. I'm not sure. The pavers has been a point of discussion, like lots of citizens have reached out about that. I understand that there is a decorative and aesthetic piece to the pavers, but they shift and move. So a lot of people are saying maybe stamped concrete instead of pavers in certain areas might just make a level space. From a council standpoint, I don't know when the last time we've had to pay it out, but I know that there have been multiple times people have fallen and gotten injured and we've paid medical expense with that. So it might just be worth trying to do a level surface. The last one, I've had several business owners reach out about the closing potentially of River Street there at Pine, that particularly own buildings on that section of Water Street. That's not something new. I know that was proposed back in 1999 and Tom Steggy and several other residents were kind of against that. I haven't heard negatives about it necessarily, but they're wondering if they're going to be consulted or contacted at all. And I guess I'm just wondering if there might be more information about what the potential economic impact could be. I understand it might benefit. There might be benefits and cons. I don't sell real estate, but I would think if I owned a building down there, my building might potentially be worth less than it would if it's connected to River Street, because we do get a lot of people that travel down River Street and they continue and then they're like, oh, this is here or something like that. And then I think we just need to consider what rerouting traffic would mean, because that would potentially be a lot of traffic on First Street. Again, I haven't heard people opposed to that, but they're just saying, what would the maintenance of the street look like if more people are traveling and potentially there might be more maintenance? So just things to consider.
Thanks, Councilmember Pratt. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on to approval of minutes from our public hearing on December 13th.
I'll make the motion that we approve our December 13th hearing.
Motion from Karen,
I'll second.
second from Deanna. Thank you. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Looking for approval of the minutes from our regular meeting on December 13th.
I'll make the motion that we accept the regular meetings.
Karen's awake. Thank you, Karen.
I'll follow Karen, I'll approve.
Thanks, Deanna. Any discussion or questions?
The only question, and I wasn't at, so the 13th, I think Tyler amended to change from litter to graffiti. And maybe his intent was to have it say graffiti, but the minutes really should be what was said at the meeting. It shouldn't, unless it was a, so that was the only thing. I talked to the attorney because we're looking at the ordinance. I met with him yesterday and he just kind of pointed out, well, did he say graffiti at the meeting? Did he say litter? So it really, if we wanted to change it, it would be a new item. We could do it kind of formally then, but it's not kind of.
And what did he say?
There's two options, actually, defacing public property or graffiti.
But I think what Bill's saying
I think
is,
he said graffiti.
okay,
I think that's what he said.
When he amended the meeting minutes, it was to make it graffiti, and I guess it's whatever what was really stated at that
yeah.
original meeting is what.
I think he started with the other, but it's like, by the end, we talked about graffiti.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I just, yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted
Noted.
to bring that up. Okay.
I guess we have to make one or the other.
Are we gonna leave it as is?
If he mentioned it during the meeting as graffiti, maybe that's it.
So this would have to reflect graffiti and then maybe in parentheses put defacing of public property. It just kind of has a definition.
Okay.
Okay. So Carmen, are you making those changes?
Yeah, I
Okay.
will make that change. It'll be considered as graffiti and then defacing, public property.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, in
in
parentheses.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on a change for minutes?
You should make
Addendum.
a motion to amend, approve, and then approve the full thing.
Okay.
I think if we could maybe hold off on this particular
Okay.
minutes, I'll talk to Tyler about it,
Okay.
and then I'll check the tape on it too.
Okay.
All right. We can come back to it, or,
I'll just remove my motion and we can table it.
okay,
I'll second the table.
okay, thank you. Then we'll,
You need a motion on, you've got a motion on the floor,
Oh.
you'll need to approve the tabling.
sorry.
Sorry, I'm just
Vote
playing
to
I'm
approve,
playing-
the vote to approve the table.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
No, it's fine. It's a
Playing
new-
parliamentarian today.
I don't care. It's a new one for me. Approval of financials from December.
Anybody got any questions about the financials? I got one thing that I would like to add that came in after I sent in the board packet. We received a bill from the Great American Insurance Company. That bill is for protection for the, protect the board against allegations of mismanagement. So that is what that insurance is for. And that value is, or the amount that we have to pay is $1,017. Any questions on that?
Was it budgeted? Was it an increase, or what was?
I don't have that information offhand, but I'd be happy to get that information for you.
Okay.
And compare to last year. I think it might be slightly more. I think last year it might have been $997, so there might have been a slight increase, but I don't have that number offhand.
So we could accept the financials as is, and wait till the next meeting for that invoice, or we could accept them with the,
And I have that invoice. It is due on January 21st. And if you don't pay it, they will discontinue that payment. They don't mess around.
Okay, so we could approve the budget information as we have it,
Mhm.
and then separately approve the payment of this bill, and then put it in the next month's budget. That sound?
Yeah.
okay.
So I will make the motion that we approve the budget as presented.
Okay, motion from Karen? Second from Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. Welcome. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
And I'll
May I
make,
ask
oh, go on.
I just want to ask a point of clarification. Did Fleiss and Vanderbrink make it in time? Did you see that one?
I did see that one, but I wasn't sure if we wanted to include it in this board packet or wait until after the.
We approved things.
until after
You're on
the-
top of it. Okay, thank you. We're clear.
Okay. So do we need to approve the insurance payment at this time separately?
Yes. I'll make the motion that we pay the Great American Insurance Company.
Okay.
I'll second.
Who was that from?
Bruce was first, I believe. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Executive report, Mr. Miller.
Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to cover a few highlights from the past month. One, in your packet, you will find that our investment in the Eagle 101.5 campaign to help out and partner with businesses has netted quite a bit of media coverage with the commercial spots. You'll recall that we were, the policy objective here was to assist businesses that might be impacted by the detour. So the DDA put in money in partnership with Eagle, and then the businesses paid for the remainder. Essentially, our $2,000 matched in partnership with the downtown businesses for a total of 1,500 roughly commercial spots plus some extra, and the total amount for the campaign was $30,000 when you think about the value to our downtown businesses. So we leveraged quite a bit there, and hopefully we saw more traffic downtown to our businesses during that difficult time. A couple other points. During the past month, the County Land Bank submitted applications to the State Land Bank for a Blight Elimination Program grant. There were 3 priorities. The DDA, the Chamber, and the Economic Development Council each submitted letters of support for all 3. The Ringo Oil Building, which is just outside of downtown, but that's a housing project on First Street. The Northern Hotel was included, and the Waterworks Building also outside, but adjacent to downtown. So those all went in. We will find out in February what the results of that application will be. So it'll take us a couple months before we find out from the State Land Bank whether or not that will move forward. Northern Hotel is still working through their capital stack, and with some success from either MEDC or this grant, we'll work on getting started for construction in the year 2024. We're also working on trying to find a commercial tenant for that property, and so if you have any leads on any commercial businesses that want to expand, then please let us know. There's available space on that first floor. We also submitted a letter of support for the Vogue. They applied for funds for an elevator and a 3rd screen. We don't know when the timeline will be for that, but we wish them the best and would certainly support one of our anchor properties. And then I can also report that the Outsider is moving forward with its downtown development liquor license. They had an interview, and so things are looking very positive there for that business. Lastly, I just want to point out that through the Chamber is involved in the Northern Chamber Alliance, which is a group of Northern Michigan chambers and economic development organizations. We have been very lucky as part of the Chamber Alliance to be at the table at the state for a number of decision points, and the Chamber Alliance will be going down for the governor's upcoming address, and the Chamber will be formulating some ask in the budget, and so it is quite possible that something that the DDA might need, which we'll discuss later, might be possible to make a request through that. So the Chamber would be interested in hearing and advocating for the city, for the county, or for downtown. So just keep that in mind as we're talking about things. There might be an earmark ask at the budget as a result of some of our advocacy efforts. This is not a guarantee, I just want to be clear, and it's an ask. So we're just formulating what to ask for. May or may not get it, may not find a champion, but so you'll have to be smart about what we think about, but certainly don't want to imply that it's a done deal. It's just something that we do as part of the lobbying and advocacy work that the Chamber does for the community. I think that's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. I want to apologize. I did not introduce our new board member, Sammy. Sorry.
I wasn't on the agenda.
You were not on the agenda. I tend to follow it. So how do I say your last name again? Please? Lukashevitz, right?
Lukashevitz.
Lukashevitz. All right. Welcome. We all
Thank
know
you.
you.
I appreciate
Thank you.
Can I do one more thing too?
Yeah.
You reminded me that I should introduce an intern that we have. Nicole Kaminsky is here with us, wave. She is an economic development intern with the Chamber. She'll be working with me and also with Carmen on a number of projects, so we'll put her to work. But we have her doing business retention visits and property sheets for potential development and other duties as assigned. So we'll give her some other duties as assigned. But anyway, just want to introduce Nicole.
Welcome, Nicole. Thanks, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Okay. Reports from ad hoc committees, starting with the facade grant.
Okay, we hit a reporting milestone at the end of December. Carmen put in the paperwork. We're all up to date and copacetic on that. We have received from 4 of the 5 grantees their bid paperwork, so we know how much the projects might cost. I would like to report to you that the 4 certainly, and when the 5th one comes in, will certainly be over the allotment that we thought. So where we thought we might have extra money to do another round of grants in the current fiscal year, that's not likely to happen. So with the projects, we want to make sure that they get done. And so I am working on getting kind of a spreadsheet to have an equitable distribution of funds. Then we'll be able to go out with grant agreements. I'll also work on the grant agreements there. So that's where we're at with the facade grant, but we'll move on that. And so those 5 again are Spicer, Bluefish, Golden Stag, Dwelling Real Estate, and the Elks. So that's where we're at with those 5.
That might be a good ask for the governor. You know, it's like, could
Additional.
we have more revitalization, especially in historic areas? Something that would really put us at the top of the line.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
so.
good.
On that note, I would like to take another look at the facade grant program and just sort of dive in and see if it's time to update it. We tend to do that every couple of years. I've got some thoughts and I haven't really looked at it in a while. Would anybody be interested in serving on a small ad hoc committee with me for that? Bruce is shaking his head.
I would, just to get up to speed on some things too.
Okay.
It has always been kind of loose. I mean, we had a good guideline, but it kind of got loose for a while. I think, Tyler, you were involved in bringing it back around, but
I think it's just
It's
good to
worth
update
it.
it as we continue to
yeah,
use it.
it's worth
So
a look.
anybody else is welcome to join, but we've got 3 now, so.
And Kyle, is it to look at maybe do more facade grants on the riverside? Maybe that business?
I kind of want to, like, I haven't given it a ton of thought, but I wanted it to maybe tie back a little bit to the historic district and try to help properties that fall within the historic district where maybe potential improvements are harder to do because their building is considered historically significant. So that was just one thought, but
More cost involved.
any idea for updates would be
Yeah,
welcome.
it could be a 2-layer,
Mhm.
you know, historic and other, you know,
Yeah.
like river-facing stuff.
We'll get started and come back to the board for thoughts and ideas, so. Okay, thanks. Social district, Karen. Did everybody get a copy of?
Yes, and Bill's passing out even more, so thank you, Bill.
Do you want to kind of take us through what you've been looking at, Karen?
Yes, we got together probably, I don't know, back in October to start this process, to be able to kind of encourage people who want to promote a social event in our district to have a process they could go through to make it easy. Lindsay and Dan, you've kind of been guinea pigs in this as you guys have been doing the events. So that added a lot of information about, there's all these little details of little and big, you know, you have to go to the city, you have to talk to the chief, you know, all these different things. So putting that in a format, or in, I would like to see a folder and a virtual file, so that people can kind of say, all right, I'm interested in doing, you know, cabin fever reliever in March, and so these are the things I need. And then we talked with Bill, who wanted to expand it with other very important pieces that you know, like a checklist from the DPW. What are the things that you need? I think we also put a cost. There was a
There is
discussion about a cost.
in our current special event form.
Yeah.
And if I may, Sharon, so the reason we have a special events policy, it's our CP 39, which it kind of states that we have an amount we pay for nonprofit organizations that, well, they have to, for for-profit organizations, they're supposed to pay the total cost of something for the city, like our DPW's time is spent, police time. So we've had success with the social district events. So my thought was, you know, we need to have a forum for road closures, making sure the neighbors are informed, making sure that they have an opportunity to get involved too. And the other thought was, how can we facilitate these events without using DPW staff time? And that's, in this packet you see, we discussed kind of having a block party trailer that the DDA 2 years ago allocated $20,000 for an events person. My thought is, if we use that funding to create this trailer, it can kind of be dropped off. We'd have a policy with whoever rents it out, you break it, you buy it, we can have it where, and these are the certain areas in the trailer, you put the, you know, the heater lamps, and so it's really just to kind of help facilitate what, you know, the success that Lindsay had, help make it, streamline it for some other groups or the other social district licensees. Maybe if there's another event, I know Deanna, you have an event coming up, that could be something that the trailer could, you know, you have Bluetooth speakers. So it's just basically a party trailer, and I have, so Kelly helped put this together. If you look at the back, you'll see kind of some other communities have these types of trailers. So my thought is it'd be something we could drop off during the regular business day. DPW could drop it off in the area, and then it could kind of be set up by the social district licensee and then picked up on a Monday morning. So that's kind of the thought behind it. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. We created this list. I think there were a couple things, talking with Lindsay, maybe the ice chest isn't needed, but maybe Deanna thought, you know, if you like the Bluetooth speaker, maybe that could be, you could have brackets on the trailer. You could put those onto, you know, you could have two speakers then. So this was kind of an idea of what the funds could be used for. I think we wouldn't go outside of this if approved, but we wouldn't necessarily have to buy all the items. I think for winter events, the heaters are kind of a necessity or a very good thing to have. The trailer, we'll have to make sure, I think the heaters are 84 inches, so we want to make sure that the trailer is at least 7.5 feet of tall inside. So, but yeah, it was great work. Anything I missed?
No, you know, in all honesty, when we started, you know, I think you mentioned it at a meeting or something before we talked, and I was like, well, why do you need that? You know, but as we went through that, it made so much sense. You know, it's kind of a one-stop drop. You know, DPW doesn't have to bring in, you know, picnic tables, and they don't have to go get that. You know, it's just like a one-stop drop, which is great. And I really would like to spend a little money to wrap it so that it is Manistee, DDA, you know, mobile block party, whatever we want to put on it. I think it's a great advertisement. I think it's just a great reminder to everybody, you know, about the DDA and what we're promoting, you know, our downtown, and then all the things that we put in it. I think it just to me, it was like, what a great idea.
I want to say, I really think the wrapping of it, it really bridges that gap between the DDA doesn't want to do anything with events anymore. The chamber doesn't want to do anything with events anymore, whereas that is, I think it's such a misconception that we don't want to. It's that our, you know, with the chamber, the labor dollars are for economic development and facades and things like that. It's not having somebody on the chamber staff that's facilitating these events. So if you have this wrapped and it says publicly Chamber of Commerce logo on it or brought to you from the DDA, it bridges that gap between the DDA or the the chamber doesn't want to do anything. Perceptions are reality in our world, and so I just think it's a really good, helpful piece, plus it's a really good promotion piece to keep the peace.
Just as you were talking, I was thinking, oh, well, we could even sell vinyl space on this
I mean, we could.
van, you know, it's like,
Right.
does the chamber want to buy a little, does a business want to buy, you know, we could kind of put that out too. I mean, we don't want to just have nothing but stickers all over.
Right.
But, you know, I think we could design something, that'd be pretty cool, and then, you know, sponsored by, you know, kind of thing, so that would be kind of cool.
Okay, so I just want to, because perceptions are important, as you say, just want to clarify. I know that the perception might be that the chamber doesn't want to do events. What might be a better way to state that, so I'm here to restate it for you, is that promoting, pulling together, pulling off, implementing events are extremely labor intensive. And we're seeing this across the board, and it's kind of a community crisis, if you would, because the volunteers aren't there to do the work anymore. And when you rely on 4 staff or 3 staff or 1 staff person to do the event, it's overwhelming, and then other things have to get pushed aside. And so it's not that we don't like events, it's that the work that is demanded for those is extremely taxing on an organization that's focused on making an impact. And so it's just kind of a risk-reward kind of calculation.
Karen, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say also too, you know, it's like, and the back one's like Black Party. I would kind of call it an event trailer, because after our conversation, I mean, I was just thinking about the block parties that we're having here. But then I was reminded about our organization's supporting of the Overdose Awareness Day, which was a huge success down here. That would be an event trailer that we bring down so that we could, you know, follow this process. That, I mean, there are more events than just a block party. So, yeah, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, wow, this is really cool. That's a great idea.
How do you see this committee moving forward with the concept or the idea, or is this just sort of a presentation and to get people thinking, or what's the next?
Well, I think that I think that pulling maybe all the different formats together, that like there are specific things that have to be filled out in the city, putting it in like a bullet points. I would like to see, you know, a packet built with all this information and or put on our website or a website so that they can add it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about, I think the committee is recommending this process to
Okay.
move this way.
Okay. Is the
define
committee
the-
going to do the work, or are you looking for help?
I'm
from
looking
sta-
for
some-
help.
some-
I think
okay.
it'd be better to have it done by our staff.
Okay.
To put that packet together, and all it is just getting the stuff together. The thing I don't know is you see, I listed some, you know, rules, event rules, and I don't know if we have anywhere specific that anybody's using a particular set of rules for. We know that you can't be out of the social district, you know, with your alcohol. We know that, you know, dogs, there's a leash law, you know, or rule, or ordinance, you know, if you bring animals. Those kind of things are not like the high priority, but they're important to know when you're putting an event together
Yeah,
and how you're going to handle it.
maybe kind of a knowledge base.
Yeah.
We have a listing of rules. The Tourism Authority has a set of barricades that are on loan typically to community events throughout the county. Over time, it has become more and more difficult to manage as more and more events take place, and it requires staff time to go through those requests, but also mediate when there's multiple requests on the same day. So, and then also be the mediator of the organizer of the event when things get a little bit gnarly because they're not getting exactly what they request. So it does take quite a bit of staff time, but we now have rules that are implemented this year. So it is an honest system. We don't charge people, but over time, we've lost about 25 barricades. So that's fewer that get leased. And in summertime for events, there's bound to be a couple of conflicts, I guess. So just some awareness on that. It does take quite a bit of staff time to manage all that and the expectations of the community groups who are borrowing it.
And that, I think our role for our staff will be, here's the packet, here's the information. If you have a question, you can call, but other than that, this is yours. And so, you get the staff together, you put the event on. The other thing I think is going to be important too is that maybe some rules also gives the event coordinator and organization to have something to fall back on. If somebody lets their dog run up and down the street and, barking at everybody, it's like, I do have a rule that says you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, it's easier than just coming up to somebody and going, hey, don't do that,
Right.
And it's like, the rules say. So that kind of gives them a little bit of that, plus also they will know how far it can go before they have to get back up.
Right.
you know.
I thought it would be easy too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on paper, it's easy. In theory, with real people, it's not as easy.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to share that
Sure, absolutely.
template? Okay.
And there's, just to sort of try to frame this a little bit, there's 3 roles in an event, right? If it's huge, there's the fiduciary. There's people who do stuff. They show up, they lift things, they move things around. And there's event coordination, right? This makes event coordination rational, and it makes it a whole lot easier. People don't have to create as much on the fly, but it does not eliminate events coordinator, right? We're not, I don't hear us proposing to become the event coordinator for the area. We're providing a tool, and I think that there needs to be clarity in, people who approach us. You've got 2 roles that you need to fill. Assuming it's not a huge event, you don't need a fiduciary, but what you do need is somebody who's going to coordinate this thing. Here's a bunch of tools for you, but you need that person. And then you're going to need people to lift stuff, right? So we've tried to make it easy, but you still need that person, and we need to be really clear for people who approach us. This is the tool that we're giving you that makes it simple and straightforward. You can do this without experience, but there's stuff to be done.
I guess I would just say there's events, and then there's kind of the social district events where those 3 roles are all managed by, I think, the business. So Lindsay, and this would just be a help to, they're going to use their staff, she's going to be the event coordinator. So this is just something to help the businesses.
So specifically, Bill, this is for social district events, a proposal for a way for the DDA to help social district events.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's helpful.
But okay, then I'm confused. But the trailer will also be used for block parties and other things that come up within the
Our
city
district.
limits.
In our
Within
district.
the DDA.
Just within the DDA?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
our district.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
I think that, as we're talking, I think I don't know, we are lucky that you guys are on the DDA and we were able to kind of do a post-party kind of confab, how it went and everything like that. I think as DDA and the city will be involved. It's like, what happens when an event is disastrous, you know? And that event person comes back to us and says, we want to host another one. So those are all things that we'll have to work out, you know, how do we do a post review and reapplication for people who do not follow any of the requirements. But
So
that's a whole nother.
is this ad hoc committee still active? Is there still work to do, or where do we want to go from here?
I think we're hoping to have kind of an action item, but I know it's been the holidays, but this idea would be a budget amendment and an approval up to 18,000 to purchase the items on that list and get this rolling. But it could wait till next meeting, or it was,
My only concern is that the trailer's not big enough, and it might not be enough money. I would hate for us to buy a trailer first and then try to stuff a bunch of stuff in it. I think we should start backwards and figure out the most important things that we want, make sure they're like commercial quality, and then purchase those and say, oh, you know what, we need a 20-foot car hauling trailer. Not
That's a good point.
Just a thought, but
that's a good point.
I'm comfortable with, you know, the DDA contributing, it's not up to me, but the DDA contributing, you know, 20 grand or whatever it may be. I just want to make sure that what we buy is well thought out and not just a big toy box, so.
What we could do is kind of start, you know, it's kind of what Bill said about the heaters and stuff. Yeah, we can purchase these things first, like you're saying too. And then after those purchased, come back and say what type of trailer we're going to need. You know, it's kind of twofold. Here, let's get all the items and then start researching the size of trailers and even wrapping or whatever, making that idea so that when we come back, probably in a month or two, we would have more specific amounts that we could ask.
Start with the most needed items, the largest items.
Yeah.
And then a piece of this too would be that once we have all the items purchased for it, that there would be a very schematically drawn out, written out plan. This is how you pack the trailer. This is how you unpack it. This, and then here's the inventory list on the trailer. So every time, you know, when that event is responsible for, and then whoever checks it back in, you know, will very easily be able to go around the trailer and
Yeah.
take the inventory of the things in it.
So I think our committee is going to kind of be hanging in here for a while.
Okay.
Because as you mentioned that, I'm like, okay, so repack, and then somebody's going to have to go back in and go, oh, we're missing a heater.
Yeah, here's our
That was
inventory check sheet.
$90, so
Yeah.
now
Or-
you'll pay.
Or you find your Jenga set on the side of the road somewhere, because, which we found barricades on the side of the road, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why
Okay.
this little checklist of this is where the Jenga set goes, this is where the cornhole
Yeah.
goes. It's
Yeah.
like, check it off,
We'll leave
put it
those
in there.
Leave those details up to the committee.
That's in a perfect world, which we all live in.
So we'll go forward with maybe approval towards purchasing of items, you know, research and purchasing of items for the trailer first.
So I had Kelly kind of go through this. Maybe it's, at this point, maybe we have chamber staff kind of review these and kind of we'll work with you guys to, well, since you're the DDA executive director, I would think, okay, we looked at this is the recommendation, this is the actual items we're looking to purchase, and then
Come back with a proposal.
we can come back next month, and then it'd be, here are the items, we get them, then here's the size trailer we're gonna need.
Okay.
That works.
So I think that the committee, you know, I mean, we don't need to meet this month, but after the next meeting, then we can kind of do a check-in and go over what Sammy brings to us and the forms and stuff like that.
Who's
Get
it?
things pulled together for the
Karen?
staff to put a packet.
Who's all on this committee again?
Deanna, Lindsay, and Bill, myself.
Okay.
And Deanna.
Deanna, Karen, Lindsay, and Bill?
Yep,
Okay.
staff 4.
Okay, thanks.
So I think making sure it's on the agenda next meeting,
Yeah.
as an action item.
So
Great.
are we going to release any money for now, or we just wait till next?
Do you need an so, you know, there's the kind of endorsement of the idea, and then there's spending money on it. Do you need an endorsement of the idea now to move forward?
That would be great.
We would like one.
Okay. In what format does that need to be?
Well, we could, I don't think it has to be a formal motion, just to do the research, get the information, and bring it back to the next one.
And so the research would be done by staff or by?
So we did the research, it's just kind of like the actual implementation. I mean, you guys are going to do the actual purchase, but I don't think it would be hurt to say we're in support of the trailer purchase, and then kind of move forward with it.
Okay.
So how about
And then-
this? I'll make a motion that, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would just recommend that we support the idea
Make
of
a
this
motion
with a
of
certain
support.
dollar amount. Let's not get specific about what we're purchasing with it. That's just my recommendation, not to put
Yeah.
words in your mouth, but
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I was gonna go with
Okay,
that.
sorry.
Like, let's just, so I'll propose that we make a motion to set the wheels in motion and have DDA or the team support to move forward with purchasing goods for the downtown district, social district trailer.
In an amount up to 20,000?
Right, with an amount up to
What was the amount?
20,000.
20,000.
so that's a motion?
Second.
Okay. Is that clear? Is Mud?
Yeah, who made the first motion?
Deanna.
And then who seconded?
Bruce.
I'm not really clear.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, let's let Carmen read it.
We're voting to support a future vote?
No, we're supporting the spending up to 20,000 for items for the event trailer to be used at events in DDA.
To me, that would be like approving the expenditure. And I thought there was,
Well,
talk
let
about
me-
more detail.
Since I brought up this idea, let me clarify. What I don't, people are spending real time and real effort on this. And I don't want to get into, 2 meetings down the road and then pull the plug on it,
Sure.
right? So I just think we need to say something here to say, yeah, this is a good idea and the DDA is going to move forward with this on whatever dollar amount and whatever specifics, come up, but this is the idea we're moving forward with.
It's difficult to vote for something, especially an expenditure, when you don't have an implementation plan. And I don't know if I do things differently, but I couldn't vote for something without knowing if you have the appropriate staff time to be able to manage it. Just speaking from experience, I'm a one-person show also. And I will spend the next 2 weeks going through just barricade requests. And I know my scope is a little bit bigger than the social districts or the DDA, but we have a plan, and now we have a process of going through that. And until you have that, I couldn't say, let's spend this on this, when you don't even know if you have the staff to be able to manage it. That's,
The staff will not be involved in the barricades or any of that stuff. That is going to be totally, we are not supporting or with our staff anything to do with the event except to, here's your package.
yeah, the package takes time. I know it sounds hysterical. It takes time to deal with people who want to borrow
I know that.
anything.
I understand
So-
that, but, it's like, we're really, in the DDA, this committee or this board has significantly changed its attitudes towards events to the point where it's like we're trying to lock it down more and more and push it towards the event people who are interested in doing the event. And they're the ones, and I'm sure you've had it, people come up to you, well, there's been, you didn't ask me if you could have this block party. I mean, there's all those things are over here. We might get a call, it's like, hey, as a DDA, why are you people allowing this to happen? We'll get those calls no matter what, and we do have staff that will have to manage that. But the actual, I don't, you didn't have enough barricades, you didn't have this, you didn't have that, that's all on the event coordinator. who is this outside source.
I suggest then that, you know, part of the work of the subcommittee is to, you know, express how this stuff is mechanically going to work. And maybe that should be at the next meeting so we can approve the idea and, you know, move forward with it. Is there anything else?
I think we're asking, though, to show some support for moving forward. Some concrete support that, so like you just said, in a month or 2 months from now, when we're discussing this, that there's nothing in writing or there's nothing in agreement with the whole board that says we didn't support this, why are we moving forward?
I feel like there's support. I don't know if we need a vote on support, but I feel like there's support. And
I feel
we, you know, are supporting the committee for sure.
Because there's a dollar amount attached, though, that we shouldn't waver on, that we should say,
Well, I
yes.
think we should
then-
waiver on it because we're not sure what we need and if it's enough or.
But we should we go into this the next time we meet knowing that we have a budget of $20,000, or do we have a budget of $15,000, or do we have a budget of 10? I mean, if we're asking for the 20,000, it doesn't mean we have to spend all of that.
Did we clarify what, like, are we gonna be leasing this out?
No.
No.
This is from the way that I understand, this is a contribution from the DDA for block party events.
But I think we would have an agreement with whomever rents it or borrows it. It would be kind of like, this is what they're responsible for, unloading, loading, making sure all the items are there, and I think taking care of them. I mean, that would be, we're going to have some sort of, I think, agreement with expectations of both parties about what's to be expected. So, and I agree with saying, I think it'd be great to have the whole thing laid out, but I think the whole idea of this, it's a fun idea. It is to help events happen without burdening staff to actually run events for these social district events. As it was very popular, I think we just want to help facilitate it. To Tyler's point, I don't think maybe we don't do, it is a formal budget amendment to allocate 20,000, but if you're in support, I think it's just good for us to know, yeah, there's support there, we can move forward. We're going to have to, I think, get these items, have a policy, have a fleshed out. But you have to take the first step.
Are you hitting the time deadline here?
We were originally trying to get it for a winter event, but I don't think that's feasible.
Yeah,
at
that's
this
coming
point,
up
so.
in 5 weeks, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Is there stuff that we need to purchase for the winter events?
Like the heaters.
The heaters would have been a good thing.
I mean, we could budget money to rent heaters too, for a winter event.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. I'm not clear on the motion. But it is out there, so we have to do something with this motion. Either vote on it or retract it.
Let's ask Carmen to restate it, if it's possible.
Okay, so, motion made by Deanna March to support the motion to move forward with the purchase good for the downtown social district in the amount of $20,000, seconded by Bruce.
So purchase of goods, it doesn't mention the trailer. And I'm kind of feeling like that's okay. Let's start here, get what we need for supply, and then we move forward to the next step.
But the motion says you're looking for support, not, are you looking for support or are you looking to purchase stuff?
We're looking for support to move forward, formal support to move forward with this project so that, again, that can't be shouldn't be retracted in the future months.
Okay. Fair enough. You can say it out loud.
I'm trying to respect the role of the chair, so my suggestion to you all is that if you would make an amendment to your motion that would remove the monetary amount so that there's support without monetary amount. We know from the discussion what the consensus is on the amount, but remove that language so there's support for the idea and moving
Concept,
forward.
yeah.
Okay.
Then we can come back later after some of these details get further defined and have a budget amendment in the form of a motion that would be for a specific amount. And then we'll follow all the rules when it comes to that with budgetary amendments, right? But I think that might help get this passed and show support. So what I'm hearing, and so I would suggest taking out friendly, make an amendment, remove the amount, get a second from Bruce, and then we're voting twice.
So you're gonna wanna, do you wanna amend your motion
I hear
to
that
support?
that's what's being recommended. Reluctantly, I mean, I get that. I
You don't
just
have to.
You
when we're-
don't have to.
Yeah.
Right, no. Maybe I'm just thinking out loud here.
You can
You know,
vote.
because we talked about where the funds would come from that line item. But right now, I think the very important thing is accurate, that we're asking for a motion for support to move forward. So the monetary thing absolutely can come at another time.
We're not asking for a motion. You're making a motion.
I'm making that, so I'm
Okay.
just, right, I'm adjusting,
Okay.
amending the emotion, that it's read exactly as it's read, but we can leave off the monetary amount at this time.
Okay, got it. And then who would?
Right, do it.
Second.
Okay.
Can I just go back to, Sammy, I hear you very clearly about, people. I get it, I know how they can be. But I do have to kind of keep coming back to, we do have full-time staff. There is going to be an expectation that some of that will probably come through them, and they'll have to facilitate or mediate or do whatever. But we want to push most of that responsibility to the event coordinator. And they are our support to that event coordinator. But I didn't want to discredit what you're saying. I'm just saying I get it.
Oh, no,
But
I
I
get it.
also feel confident that we have enough time with staff to be able to, yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Old business, investment policy. Mr. Miller.
I'm just going to bring this up as an informational item, but there was discussion many months ago about taking our budgetary dollars and investing them into money market funds. The city does this. Many communities around the state do this. There's a particular organization that manages funds. And the discussion was, and this was a suggestion from Ed Bradford, to invest our funds, be able to draw them out as we need them to pay bills, but we would be able to make around, at the time, I don't know, it probably has changed, around 4%. So that's the policy big picture. In order to do that, we needed to have an investment policy. We had some changes on the board. I let this slip off to the side, but I would be interested, or I should, as staff, will be working on this. If there's someone with skills and interest to help me with that language, I would appreciate having that. And then we can report back at the next meeting and make a suggestion on investment policy moving forward. We may not be able to do it in the current fiscal year. It may take us a few months to set that up, but the first step is to have an investment policy. That way our funds could be making some additional interest as opposed to what we're making with the bank that we're banking with, right? So
I thought Ed provided us a policy, did he not?
we'll have to look.
Okay.
Does the city have a policy?
I thought Ed provided us
Yeah,
with.
we do. And I think the part of this came up, I think it was mentioned to cut the city agreement so that the DDA could do more. And we're going to, Kyle and I have been looking at that. So it's like a $65,000 contribution. If it was an extra $30,000, what could the DDA do? Ed kind of pointed out some very simple way you could make $30,000 is putting that and getting 5%. And then the DDA could do,
But I thought that Ed had provided us an example.
He can provide you with what we have.
Yeah, but,
We just tweak it to make it.
Yeah, it says the cities and then the Michigan Municipal League and the Michigan Downtown Association.
You have
all
it?
have
Okay,
to,
we have it.
okay.
so.
All right, so somebody just needs to review it with me.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Streetscape.
Yeah. Okay, so you all have a draft. I want to thank Bill, city staff, Tyler. Who else has given us? Oh, yeah, city staff, Jeff McClure. We can name him, I guess. So we have all of the comments. We also have public comments from this morning. But we'll incorporate those into a document and send it along to Fleiss and Vanderbrink. They have invoiced us for the final, so they'd like to get started on that, but they're waiting on our feedback. The city feedback was quite extensive and welcome. I think it was very positive. Some of the, we're not going to get into the weeds, but it's technical stuff about snow melt system and water mains, and we won't need to put it into the public record today. But
We need to have a meeting.
we need to have an additional meeting later in the month. But anyway, so we'll compile this, and we were having issues with timing at the end of this month, so we're looking at something in early February. But we need this, our next steps are to get the draft finalized, but then we need to sit down and prioritize what it is that the DDA wants to work on. So that's the next meeting. What is it that we're going to focus on, and then try to figure out how we implement it. So what I mentioned earlier, funding sources where you can make legislative ask. Our congressman could put an earmark in. The state budget could have an earmark in it. We can figure all that out. We need a longer, and I need a little bit more runway myself. We need some more time to figure out what to do with that.
Go ahead, Bill.
And I think when we did the RFP for this, the idea was to have short-term, long-term goals and I just want to see this, there's, recommendations, but I want to see dollar amounts for short-term goals, long-term goals. And for example, activating that area by the Christmas tree, and, there's a couple of steps you could do. Synthetic ice, that would be, try that, that's $100,000 we could pay out of fund balance if we wanted to have some sort of reliable ice skating opportunity by the Christmas tree. We could utilize that marina for ice skate rental. So, and then there's like actual having an ice rink splash pad, which would be millions of dollars, which would be a much bigger deal. But I think there's we need to have this set up in a way that we can go for funding to implement. We can implement on our own with fund balance, or we do a bond as part of a bigger streetscape. And those questions about, do we do all pavers? Do we do all concrete? Do we raise the road up with 2 layers of hot mix asphalt to bring it up and have a curbless street? And do we do green infrastructure? We need to have that broken out so that we can make a decision based on the dollar value. And that's what I think is missing, is kind of that final bow about, okay, here's the stuff. And you have kind of those little, other items we talked about, implementing the wayfinding, and I know Brandon has some ideas. So we need to have budget money available. We need to have dollar amounts in there so that we can pull this out and start implementing.
We need specifics and recommendations, and
Yeah.
I don't think we have that yet either. So, but we need to reschedule. We had to cancel the meeting, so we need to reschedule. Will you send out another poll for that,
Yeah,
please?
I'm waiting for,
Okay, great.
Just on that too, again, I read it quickly, you gave it to me the other day, and then I want to go back into detail stuff, but, I think about the marina, and we ran into the glitch of the electrical doesn't really support what we did down there. Was that type of stuff, the electrical, I know there was like the road and the infrastructure, but electrical is in that, right? Because I don't really recall seeing that in my first read-through, but we would have to do some significant upgrades
Okay.
from what I'm understanding. So that's one of the things that I just saw, I didn't see in that report, so we have to think about that too, when we get costs.
Okay.
Please continue to review those proposals that Carmen got printed for us prior to the meeting so we can be prepared. Okay, moving on. No? Okay, new business. Nothing? Okay. Public comment. Again, thank you for being here. Board member comments. Tyler?
Just,
Jamie?
no, it's just a pleasure to be here. It'll
Thank-
take me a little while to get caught up, but my, not saying anything doesn't mean I'm not listening.
Oh, you said plenty. Thank you. Deanna?
Just to mark your calendars for February 17th for our Frostbite Festival.
Okay.
And if you haven't seen it on Facebook yet, please see it and share it, and let's get it out there. I think it'll be a fun day.
Are you
Yes.
closing the street, or is it?
I'll call you.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think for the one event that we're looking at closing the street for, it's worth closing the street. So how about, can we have a conversation?
Sure, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Anything, Bruce? Bill?
Good.
Okay. Karen? Carmen? Mark? No? Okay, thank you all. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Public comment, or?
Oh, I already called for public.
Oh, you did, okay.
Motion.
Motion by Tyler. Second. Second from Bill. Thank you.